What's up guys, CJ here, and welcome back to another all-new Hybrid Network weekly recap, catching you up on all the biggest stories from the past week that you might have missed. In this week's video, we'll catch you up on the latest update in the James Gunn saga with some potentially positive news actually, Venom angling for a PG-13 rating, Sony shuts down Silver and Black, a familiar face as the frontrunner for James Bond, and a Supergirl movie is coming to the DCEU. Starting things off, the James Gunn situation just continues to get more and more complicated. After a report from Variety last week indicated that Disney was not interested at all in bringing the director back, this week we learned from The Hollywood Reporter and Deadline that someone in particular is making a strong push on Gunn's behalf. That someone is Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige, and apparently the push to reinstate Gunn goes beyond him at the studio too. As we've discussed over the last few weeks, Volume 3 was going to play a huge part in setting up Marvel's Phase 4 slate, and Gunn was very key to those plans beyond the Guardians movies too. The degree to which he could return is unknown right now. I mean, he could be reinstated fully, which would probably be ideal for Marvel, or they could just keep his script and give him the writing credit. I mean, reportedly Disney already wants to do the latter rather than just starting the whole thing from scratch, so that at least seems like a safe bet. We'll just have to wait and see what happens in this most recent development, but over on the Sony side of the Marvel Universe, we've learned a ton of new details about their plans for the Spider-Man properties, and specifically the movie that's kicking all of that off, Venom. One thing that might not sit well with fans is that reportedly Sony is adamant that the movie will be PG-13 rather than R, and that might come as a surprise given the fact that the most recent trailers seem to be playing up the movie's violence. Many fans were looking forward to a no-holds-barred adaptation of the character, which may actually still be possible. In that report from Variety, they claim that the movie is going to push the envelope of the PG-13 rating and basically come as close to R as they can without it actually being R. The big question you may be asking is, why? Well, Sony believes that Spider-Man as a brand is successful because it's accessible to all ages, even Venom, and they worry about an R-rated Venom's ability to cross over with other characters, including Spider-Man himself, and yes, other MCU heroes. In that same report, we also got an update about Silver and Black, Sony's own girl gang movie centered around the on-again, off-again, morally flexible anti-heroes Silver Sable and Black Cat, and long story short, the movie's off, but Sony is planning on developing solo films for both characters. This doesn't actually come as a huge shock, as the movie's been in development hell in literally every sense of the word, having started and restarted and restarted the script, going back to the drawing board as recently as earlier this year when new director Gina Prince-Bythewood joined the project. Reportedly, Bythewood is also expected to leave and will not helm either of the two solo movies, although she will get a producer credit on both of them, and Sony apparently really wants to replace her with another female director, according to this report. We'll have to wait and see how both of those projects develop, but in an even more well-known Sony franchise, a new rumor is making the rounds about who exactly might be replacing Daniel Craig as 007 whenever that day comes, and it is a fan-favorite choice for the role. That choice is Idris Elba, who has been fan cast for that iconic role since reports first indicated that Daniel Craig wanted to move on, so really only for like the last decade or so. According to director Antoine Fuqua, he recently spoke to producer Barbara Broccoli, who's basically been running the franchise since the 90s, and she told him that she felt like it was time for a non-white actor to take the role, and added that Idris could do it if he was up for it and in shape. Again, this seems like it's not smoke or fire right now. It kind of seems like people are like, oh, they want to cast a non-white actor, it's going to be Idris Elba, which again, I think he would be at the top of their list, even though he himself is just 5 years younger than Daniel Craig, who turned 50 earlier this year. Jumping on over to the worlds of DC, we've now learned about another film in development at the studio, Supergirl. That's right, the Girl of Steel is getting her own solo film, and WB and DC have put the project into development with writer Oren Uziel from 22 Jump Street and the Cloverfield Project penning the script. It's unclear if Superman himself is going to appear in this movie. I mean, many have said this is designed as an opportunity to reinvent the image of that character in the DC films, or at least continue the process that began in Justice League, which definitely featured a more lighthearted version of the character than previous films. That in and of itself kind of adds an interesting layer to the rumors that Henry Cavill's contract negotiations with DC have kind of hit a little bit of a rocky patch. Apparently the actor is asking for more creative input and producer credits on those films, so potentially this is a way for them to either replace him with another Kryptonian or potentially a backdoor to get him, I guess, moving in the right direction that he wants to go in. We also have no details right now on what this means for the show on the CW, but it's possible the series would have ended by that time, because it's probably not going to hit theaters until 2021 or 2022 at the earliest. So there's a really good chance that that show, which would, I think at that point probably be in its 7th or 8th season, just would not be on the air anymore. Let us know what you think about all of the stories we discussed in the comments section down below, but that's going to do it for me here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like if you like what you saw. subscribe for more great content every single day, and consider turning on your notifications to be alerted every time we upload a new video. Signing off, this is CJ, and I'll see you next time.